Hi everybody, it's me, Rogue What If. Um, Slightly sick. Bet you're wondering where I've been so far. Well, took a vacation. My device was broken, and also had to prepare for a test. So that's why I haven't been posting at all. Now, something about my channel. From here on, I'm going to post new videos, but I'm not going to discontinue my other videos. My other videos I'm going to reuse somehow, and I'm going to redo somehow. But I'm only going to start off with two videos so far. One's going to be My Hero Academia. One is either going to be Ruby or Naruto. One of the two. But yeah. Anyways, let's continue this. What if? If you read the title, this is what if Deku had a clone quirk. Now, I'll be starting this what if, and I'll be taking it slow. So the video is going to be shorter, and it's going to be extremely shorter, and it's going to be slow because I'm going to take it slow because I want to ease my way into the new episodes of My Academia. The new episodes being obviously Class A versus Class, I think it was, Class A versus Class C. Class A versus Class C or B. I want to ease into those areas and also ease into the timeline where Izuku Midoriya finally unlocks his other side of One for All. That being Black Whip and all that. And also the collapse of hero kind or mankind. I want to ease into those what ifs as well. The ships, haven't decided on that yet. The storyline of where this is going, you're just gonna have to find out. Remember, all what ifs that I do is off the top of my head, so enjoy the what if. Okay, so we start off where all stories begin with My Hero Academia, especially with Izuku Midoriya, his childhood. Izuku Midoriya is in creche, and he is busy playing with his friends. Also Bakugo. He is 4 at the moment, and his best friend Kachan, or Bakugo, has just unlocked his quirk, nitroglycerine or explosions. As Izuku Midoriya, as in canon, gets put out because people think he's quirkless. For another year, until he's 5, people have people have exiled him and pushed him about just because he is quirkless. But what they don't know is, because of this isolation and want to have friends, his quirk manifested. His quirk manifested into what? Well, obviously a cloning quirk. The desire to have other people socializing with him has drove his quirk to something odd. As Izuku sits by a playground alone watching the other children play, he thinks he just wishes to have a friend. His emotions spirals for a few seconds, thinking on how it would be fun to play with other people. As he looks beside him and sees another boy, similar to him, wearing the same clothes. Has green hair just like he is, as this boy turns around exactly the same time as he did, as they both blink. As Izuku screams as he backs away, the boy follows the same thing. He screams and backs away, like a mirror. They are mirroring each other quite well. Izuku and clone Izuku stare at each other for a long second. As Izuku moves his hand up, clone Izuku moves his hand up. Izuku gets up, clone Izuku gets up. And vice versa, this repeats for an entire few minutes. as we see the same scene that plays out in the original canon. Bakugo and his lackeys are busy bullying another child, as both Izuku's turn around to see the incident. As Bakugo was speaking, he hears two voices. Katsuki Bakugo, stop! As when he looks in front of him, instead of seeing one Izuku, he sees two. What the? You damn nerd! What is that your, uh... As the other Izuku and clone Izuku looks at each other. Both of them wondering, is this their quirk? And which one's, if this is their quirk, which one's the real one? But they push that to the side as they stare down their best friend. You can't hurt other people, Kachan. As Bakugo ignores this and states, so what? This guy's weak. What, you think you have a quirk now? You think you're stronger than me? As Bakugo starts popping small sparks of explosions in his hands. Both Izukus flinch as they take a small step back. As Izuku states, no, it's wrong. It's not what a hero should be. As Bakugo, as a child, gives a smile and a cocky smile, stating, "Oh, if you want to be if you want to be a hero so bad, then how about you come fight me then?" Nothing about that weak quirk of yours will do anything. As both Izukus get mad, as the clone Izuku is the first one to charge, charging up with a punch. Yeah, I know this is not what Izuku would do in canon, but still. Clone Izuku has a bit of a different personality than the original. That's why it's the clone that charged instead of the original. As the original stays back, watching how his clone gets beaten up and beaten down. Eventually, the clone fades and disappears. Izuku looking at his hands, so I'm the real one. As he wonders how he even's made a clone. He didn't have much time to think about it when he gets blasted with an explosion slap, you can say, into the chest, sending him back. But instead of just sending him back, his clone takes the brunt of the attack, and then a clone before him takes the brunt of the attack. Two clones start appearing out of the blast that Bakugo has made. The impact forced Izuku flying, and now there are three Izukus that stood up, one with a burning hole in their chest, or one with their clothes burnt and a red mark on their chest, the other one with just burnt clothes, and the other one that is fine. The one that's right behind them is Izuku, the real one, and the two clones that took the brunt of the attack. As Izuku thinks, this is my quirk, I can fight back, as he clenches his fist, as he yells at Bakugo. Bakugo, stop this! This isn't what a hero is supposed to be. You're my best friend. Why? As Bakugo yells, shut up, damn nerd! As Bakugo and his lackeys start beating up the clones. Izuku is slowly getting the hang of this clone thing. Focusing on his body as his body multiplies their cells and literally clones himself. He only makes one clone as that clone also rushes into battle. He makes a few more clones as he is practicing his clone work. Bakugo and his lackeys are now getting a bit overrun. Izuku starts making one clone every few minutes, one clone every few seconds, two clones every minute, two clones every second, and it keeps going until he can make 5 clones every second, as they are getting overrun by clones. As Bakugo and his lackeys are quite bruised as Izuku has no scars, except for his clones. His clones are bruised, battered, and even bleeding from the nose. As Bakugo starts running with his lackeys, Izuku is making a small army, and Izuku would have kept on doing that until he ran low. As we see Bakugo stand up with his lackeys and yell, "This isn't over, you damn nerd!" As Bakugo would run off, the child that Bakugo was bullying being long time gone. Izuku saying, "I won. I did it. I I have a quirk." As Izuku finally gets the realization of what he did. I have a quirk. As he looks down to his hands. The clones also realizing what their leader, or the real one, is thinking. He has a quirk. They have a quirk. As one of the clones wondered if they could clone themselves. As they did, but that clone was extremely tired afterwards. As Izuku starts running home with an army of 12 to 13 of himself running behind them. Some of them are bruised, battered, and injured, but they don't really care. So, a bunch of 5-year-olds running all the way to their house, and there are 13 of them. As this is an odd scene, especially when they storm into Inko's house. Mom, look, I got a quirk, as Izuku yells. Izuku's mother walks through the lounge into by the front door only to see 13 Izuku, versions of Izuku. Some of them are bruised, battered, bleeding from the nose, but there are still 13 of him. Inko is shocked at what Izuku's quirk has become. As Inko stares at one in wonder for a few minutes. So this is my son's quirk, huh? Until she breaks out of a wonder stare and starts hugging all Izukus, or 6 Izukus at once, saying that she is so proud of her son and that they must get to the quirk doctor immediately. Inko stands up, walks all the way to the car, and they had to 13 Izukus into the car, which was quite odd. All Izukus seem quite excited, even if the car is crammed at the moment. As they eventually reach the doctor, or the quirk doctor, as 13 Izuku, 13 versions of himself, walks into the hospital, hoarding everybody. Izuku didn't really find a way to make his clones dissipate. All his clones know who the original is, and even he knows who the original is. So there are not really problems on trying to find the real one, because Izuku and the clones know already who's the real one. As the doctor does some test, seeing if Izuku can clone objects, which he can. Seeing if Izuku can clone anything else than objects, like another person, which he can as well. Seeing if he can use that person's quirk when he's cloned that person, which he can. So long as that clone exists, he can use another person's quirk as well. As Izuku's quirk is extremely powerful, he's also discovered that he can see through his clone's eyes. He can also gain the memories and things that the clones have done so far, like getting beaten up by Bakugo. He's also found a way to dispel his clones, but his clones does take energy, but a very little amount of energy. He's also discovered he can make his clones into certain versions of metal, objects, paper, wood. He can make a paper clone version of himself, metal clone version, and these versions are quite useful. But unlike inanimate objects, if he clones with an inanimate object and tries to give their clone a like any quirk with it, it will not work. So an iron quirk, so a clone that is made of pure iron cannot gain Inko's quirk because it's an inanimate object that has been cloned. It needs to be the physical person being cloned, so Izuku and even some of his clones, except for metal clones, wood clones, water clones, wind clones, etc., etc. But they do have their own uses. Like a metal clone can control all metal around him. A water clone can control all water around him. And a wind clone, you get the idea. Clones that are made out of elemental objects cannot have a quirk, but clones that are made out of literal flesh or his own, like cloning Inko, Izuku and his other clones will be able to use the quirk, so long as that clone of Inko exists. Yes, it's confusing, but you'll get a hang of it later. It's even confusing to me, trust me. The doctor even had a bit of a hard time explaining this. But Izuku got the gist of it. If he clones his mother, he can use his mother's quirk, if two of his mothers exist. But if he uses metal to clone himself with, he can bend metal. And only metal clones can bend metal, which is a sad thing and a sad drawback. And they also have a limited amount of energy. They also can only be dispelled through a killing blow, a knockout blow, or an extremely powerful attack that can either break bones or sever limbs. That's the only way to sever or dispel the clone. Now, the quirk problem out of the way. I mean, even I get confused with the quirk I gave Izuku, but yeah. Izuku heads back home. He is excited. He is bubbling. He is testing his quirk on everything, using his clone quirk to clone a literal version of him that is a vase, a glass version of a clone, and even cloning himself a few times to clone more things. A wooden version of a clone, some stone versions of a clone, and each clone can use their particular element or bending. The vase version of a clone can literally make vases appear out of thin air and use the vases to manipulate them, like manipulating matter. The earth clones, obviously earthbending, they can basically try, if they work together, they can make quite an earthquake. But if Izuku does it alone, it's very small. As well, they can throw stones extremely fast and lift boulders with telekinesis. Well, a form of telekinesis. Also, cloning Inko has given Izuku access to Inko's basically pull quirk. Izuku is starting to test his mother's pull quirk. He's starting to pull objects towards himself and even testing how far the objects are or how big the objects can be. Unfortunately, his elemental clones cannot use this quirk because they are made of elements and not basically himself. But all his original clones that are made basically are copied versions of him can use Inko's quirk. But once Inko's clone disappears, they cannot use it anymore. As Izuku is having fun. As even the two Inkos that are sitting basically by the kitchen are adoring their son, thinking at how cute they are. They are. As yes, the days go by and Izuku is at school. Izuku is now a bit older. Say now, Canon Izuku when he's basically gets attacked by the sludge villain. That's the time we are on right now. Izuku has practiced with his quirk, and he has started to stand up for himself and other people that cannot stand up for themselves. Bakugo is pissed at Izuku. Izuku hasn't really fought Bakugo at all. He always avoids him. That pisses Bakugo off, thinking that Izuku thinks he's superior, but Bakugo wants to put Izuku on his place. That quirk he thinks is weak. A cloning quirk. What use is a cloning quirk than my quirk? My quirk is destructive. My quirk is powerful. That cloning quirk is worthless. Izuku somehow always seems to get away from Bakugo with a clone or another means of events. As Bakugo is searching the school grounds for Izuku, Izuku has already took it up to the rooftops. Izuku is parkouring and jumping over buildings like a pro. He jumped over a rooftop railing all the way to the other side of a building. There was a little street underneath them. Yes, he used a clone to assist him for more boost or speed, but still, he got over. His clone, well, it dispelled. As Izuku parkours all over the rooftops, Bakugo leaving an angry Bakugo at school. Izuku snickers to himself. Well, I guess Bakugo didn't realize that that clone that is sitting by my desk is not the real me, as he gets the memories of the clone that just dispelled. Bakugo found Izuku's clone sitting in the classroom, writing in a notebook. Bakugo blew up the notebook, blew up the table, and then told the clone to take a swan dive. The clone didn't listen and then just attacked Bakugo. Bakugo shot the clone with an explosion, sending it to the wall and dispelling it. Bakugo is furious. He's yelling at Deku, cursing his very name in existence, and his quirk. Yelling that coward better come back here and face him, or else... Yeah, I'm not going to continue that sentence. Izuku snickers to himself and gets back down to the ground floor. As he sighs and says, I guess I'll take the long way. As Izuku goes under a bridge. As we see the bridge sewer system open. Izuku doesn't take mind of it as something coils out of it. The sludge villain. As the sludge villain searches for a host. Oh, you'll be perfect, kid. As the sludge villain sneaks up on Izuku and captures him the same way. He covers his mouth and his body. Izuku tries to get out. A few minutes of struggling, he's losing breath. Now Izuku's desperate. Izuku randomly starts cloning himself as much as possible. He starts cloning thousands of clones just to get out. Only one of them got out. As all the clones slowly start dying, the sludge villain's like, oh, you have a cloning quirk, huh? They'll work fine, kid. I just need your body. As the sludge villain Izuku was about to pass out as he reached for his clone. His clone reached back for his leader until something happened. Izuku, the real Izuku, was free. Izuku blinked thrice. What happened? Izuku, well, now the original Izuku, still had his hand out to his leader, while he watched the clone version of him die. get taken over by the sludge villain and dispel. What? No, I'm sure I had the real one. How did you? As Izuku stares at his hand, I guess this is another aspect of my quirk, huh? As we hear a familiar booming voice. As we hear a familiar voice. Don't worry, citizen, 'cause I am here. As, yes, the famous number one hero, All Might, appears. As he cocks his hand back and readies for a Detroit smash. Or just a smash in general. He won't go that far. Obviously, as in canon, the sludge villain gets knocked out. However, Izuku, he has to deal with the wind, or the wind funnel that All Might made just to defeat the sludge villain. As Izuku slowly gets blown back by this gust of powerful wind, he slowly pushes back as his quirk starts activating and starts cloning versions of himself. These versions of himself starts pushing up against the original Izuku just so he can stay stable. Some versions of himself stands in front to block the wind currents, and even make more clones. When the blast of wind funnel finally ended, there are at least 25 versions of Izuku standing in front of All Might. All of them start fanboying. All Might, as they all rush over with versions of their notebook, or a clone of their notebook, start scribbling different and random things in their notebook, as they all ask at the same time, "Can I get your autographed?" All Might is kind of overwhelmed and shocked at the person's quirk that he just saved. A cloning quirk, huh? Well, kid, you might wanna, switch off your... Hold up, guys. I think I just saw something. Give me a minute. Sorry guys, I was basically looking outside the window and I saw my cat in front of my eyes just catch a bird. So I paused the recording video, and literally started closing all the video. All the windows. And now I'm watching my cat carry this dead bird in his mouth all the way to who knows where. You got to be kidding me. Yep, I'm just gonna leave that alone. Continuing on. Where did I left off again? Oh yeah. As Izuku says, oh yeah, sorry, as all the clones dispel. Or dispel themselves. As Izuku is left alone. Hold up guys, I think I'm gonna catch my cat in the act. He's gonna try to get in my sister's room with a dead bird in his mouth. Okay, close the window. Whew. That was close. As Izuku, yes, he gets All Might's autograph, and as in the original canon, I am watching my cat with a dead bird in his mouth. You gotta be kidding me. No. I wish this thing had a camera mode. Oh wait, it does, but my camera is just bad. I'm just gonna forget about my cat now. Yes, Izuku gets the autograph and still asks, can I become a hero? As All Might gives him the honest answer, yes, you can become a hero with the quirk you have. It's quite a unique and powerful quirk, and you might be extremely powerful with it. You just need to work hard and train. As Izuku takes these words to heart, as he says yes, All Might, and says goodbye to him, as All Might jumps away before his time expires. Obviously, the bottle falls out of his pants as always, because All Might is not wearing his superhero costume at the moment. Obviously, a few minutes later, Izuku starts walking as he hears an explosion. His parkour instincts activating as he rushes towards the explosion. He gets to the crime of where the explosions are coming from, only to see the sludge villain holding a hostage. Izuku starts panicking. All Might is there in his small might form, blaming himself that he wasn't strong enough to stop him. As Izuku sees eventually who the person is, Kachan, as Izuku just starts running. Like the original canon, he just starts running. He runs towards where Bakugo is being held captive. As in his running moment, he starts cloning himself, thinking of strategies and cloning himself with also metal. Some metal clones, some rock clones, and even wind clones, and normal clones at least, start appearing. As yes, Izuku is bomb rushing the sludge villain. All the normal Izukus get the idea of trying to blind the sludge villain, as all the versions of Izuku that he cloned himself with start throwing their bags at him. A lot of their bags hit weak spots and weak points to get rid of the sludge, but the original hits the sludge villain's eyes. Ah! It screams. Blinded for a few seconds, the wind clones get into position and then start blowing a gust of wind. Try to remove the sludge villain through air, but it's much more resilient than that. As they are trying their best, the iron clones start moving in. They start grabbing Bakugo and pulling him out. There are 3 in general, as the other clones assist the iron clones. The original is hanging back, but Bakugo is still not coming out, as with one final push from the air clones, he eventually gets free, and the original Izuku grabs him and runs. Eventually, the sludge villain gets pissed as he avoids all clones and heads for the original and Bakugo. As Izuku grabs Bakugo's basically back and starts cloning 4 of him to 5 of him. As Bakugo stumbles back and sees there are 5 versions of him and 1 Izuku. As the 6 clones that the sludge villain must that looked like Izuku and weren't an elemental clone turns around and sees all the Bakugos. They all smile at the same time. Even Bakugo himself gives a sinister smile with his clones. All Bakugo's clones, including Izuku's normal clones, lift up their palms and swing. Explosions rock the area. Bam, 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 bam. Explosions start going off of the original Izuku and Bakugo at the same time. Also, with their quirks infecting, the sludge villain had no chance. Boom! The final explosion goes off. Both Izuku's quirk had crackling explosions in their hands, including Kachan's clones and the original. Yeah, I hate sneezing. I hate it. But anyway. As yes, they defeat the sludge villain without All Might's intervention. As we see, the news reporters swarm them, as Izuku and Bakugo basically get the idea to run. They both leave behind a clone of themselves and book it. Eventually they come to a slow down walk as they walk in silence for a few minutes. Bakugo, hating the silence, speeds up and turns around. Izuku, I wanted to tell you something. Or Bakugo, Izuku turns around in shock. He called me by my name. This must be serious then. Izuku gulps down and waits. I wanted to say thanks, but I didn't need your help anyway. As Bakugo turns around and walks off, Izuku is stunned. Did Bakugo thank me? As Izuku shakes it off and walks with shaky legs. He just got a thanks from Katsuki Bakugo, the worst person in their school and the strongest person as well. As he continues walking, he comes face to face with All Might. I am here! As Izuku gets shocked and yells, All Might! As All Might turns around and is like, there you are, young Midoriya. As Midoriya is shocked that All Might still remembers his name. As All Might says, I wanted to ask you something. As All Might still says the same thing in canon, how Izuku ran in using his quirk and trying to save his best friend, when no other hero would even dare to step in. As Izuku Midoriya listens to the small lecture basically All Might gives about how heroic he was, Izuku gives a smile and says, Thanks, All Might. As All Might asks him the big question, that if Izuku wants to be his successor, and also gain the quirk that he wields. As Izuku is shocked, but he thinks about it. He thinks long and hard about it. As he says yes, who wouldn't want to be trained by the number one hero and also be the one to get his quirk? As he agrees to this in a lot of excitement, yeah, but obviously still same thing in canon. Come to Dekuba Beach and we'll start your training there. As yeah, I'm gonna step off here from now onwards. Now, this was What If Deku Had a Clone Quirk, and yes, the next things that I'll be following is if Deku even gets into the entrance exam, gets into UA High, obviously, and maybe the USJ, maybe. But this will be an ongoing series that might lead into the new episodes of My Hero Academia, such as Class A versus Class B, or even the villains, if I really want to. I don't really know the ship, so comment down below if you want a ship. Comment down below who you think Deku should be with. And most importantly, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below. And I'll see you later. Bye bye.